Okay, I'm going live, just checking the feed here and seeing how this is lighting is gonna work. If you're here a little early, you get to see some of this going on. Let's get the lighting right. So I don't look like a ghost, don't look like I'm dead. I guess that's as good as it's gonna get for out here this evening. We'll get started at 9 o'clock. I said 8:55, and that was so that I could make sure everything was set up and okay, and that it is live and streaming. And I hope you can hear me well. I chose Fireside. The fire has, I can turn around here pretty much on out. I don't know how good the camera shot was. We'll work with a little bit of better camera stuff as we improve our equipment and get those kind of things going. But I had a little fire going, it's smoldering now. Mainly the wiregrass that I pull up around here, and that stuff is adequately named. It cuts my fingers up pulling it up. The only way you can get it up is just with a shovel at the roots and pop it up. And so I spend hours out here doing that and piling it up and burning it. And this didn't get quite dry enough. It'll burn up pretty quickly when it's really dry. So here it is. Let me see. I'll make a few arrangements here. I'll keep it just like this. And if you are watching now, if you're on, give me a thumbs up or say something. Let's see. I'll type in a message here. And that's a welcome to you guys. We will be starting at 9 p.m., another 6 minutes here. So you may see me roam in and out. It seems like this is about as good as we're going to get with the lighting. If you're on, I hope you will let me know. Like I said, give me either a thumbs up or type in something. It's been kind of an interesting day today. I let the pigs into a bed to hopefully tear it up, basically till the bed for me it's a feeding area, and they found their way. The little ones through a little spot in the fence, and the next thing I know, I've got pigs all over the yard. So anyway, I had to run them back in today, and that's always fun. And trying to get them to pitch in with the work, but they seem to have been spoiled by me bringing them feed. And of course, I use all non-GMO feed, no chemicals, no additives, no anything. I don't know if the background noise is picking up. Someone's cranking it out on a motorcycle off the road. But anyway, so they did not do as much tearing up as I had hoped. And for some reason, they weren't interested in the buckwheat. And I think, again, I didn't let them get hungry enough, and that's the thing. I'm going to take them off the feed tomorrow and turn them loose in there and let them get a little hunger, and that may give them some incentive to eat, because I would like to have them eat the buckwheat that's there, go ahead and go after it, and then I can come back and plant oats or winter wheat over that. And again, after I harvest that, I'll let them have the straw in the spring. So anyway, the Sudan sorghum grass is coming up around here pretty well, and also buckwheat is coming up pretty good. We've got the mustards and turnips and rape that I planted as a cover crop in the front is really coming up as well. Yesterday I applied some of the rabbit manure to it, and we'll see. Jay Bailey, the guy that sold me the rabbits, he said that's the difference in his garden is those nitrogen bombs. He'd say, and this guy was growing everything. Um, when I was there, he was just telling me he had a living room full of a butternut squash that he was processing, which I don't know how he would process them. I guess but he was setting up the store. That's probably what I'll be doing tomorrow. Is in addition to trying to sell my eggs here locally. And if you are local in the Macon area, and if you're home already, if you're in the Macon area, go ahead and check us out. I got a Craigslist listing, or you can message us here on the video and let us know that you need eggs. We've got eggs for sale. But anyway, so tomorrow I will be probably making some tafachi. We'll do a little harvesting. May plant a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, we're coming up on 2 minutes here. Just brain farted there. Yeah, it wasn't an extremely taxing day. Last 2 days cleaned out the. Oh yeah, That's right. I did get in the greenhouse. I planted 3 pots each with crookneck squash and butternut squash to see how well they'll go in the aquaponics system. And I also planted 2 planters of what else was I putting in there? Oh, I put sugar snap peas in one garden. It's got some fencing in the garden, so I'm hoping the sugar snap peas will grow up there. And I've got turnips behind them, so I'm hoping that'll give them some shade, maybe lengthen my turnip season a little bit and let them get. They seem to grow really good in the shade. But I planted peppers. I've got some peppers. My peppers have made a comeback if I can keep my chickens out of them. Whatever was eating them, the mice or whatever that were eating them have been eating them and continue to, but they're making a comeback. Okay, so it's 9 o'clock and we're going to get started. I want to welcome you to Middle Georgia Agora. We're members of the Freedom Cell Network, and we are the Freedom Cell in Macon, Georgia. Glad to have you here with us. We're here at Buckwheat Farms here in South Bibb County. I'm Mitchell. I'm your host, and we're just out here wanting to live free, to take autonomy, to be responsible for ourselves. And I know in the little blurb describing the video, I promised I wouldn't be the angry old man yelling at clouds. But in order to do this, I do need to yell at clouds a little bit. Harriet Tubman, when she was trying to free the slaves, she said the toughest part of it was convincing the slaves that they were slaves, because we can tolerate things. We can get used to things. I mean, gosh, if you've ever spent any time around or in prisons, they adapt. We're highly adaptable within our minds, and we are workaround creatures. I mean, we think mice are. We are great workaround creatures. So, but we can deal with and get used to almost anything, to the point that we just don't realize that, or don't even imagine or dare imagine something outside that paradigm, something outside that reality, something outside of that way of doing things. And so I want to give you a couple of reality checks here as we go in to this evening. Now, the term agora just means marketplace, and the market, a truly free market, an unfettered market, no artificial inputs, no artificial outputs, just I have goods, you have goods, we agree on a price, and we trade those goods. caveat emptor, let the buyer beware, all of those things. That is the highest moral act. It is the most fair act there can be. I mean, both parties enter into it voluntarily. There's no coercion on either part. There's no outside influence of that interaction. It's totally voluntary. That is so. It is moral. It is beautiful. It is legitimate. It is peace. That is love. And any of the slightest interdiction into the market turns the market askew. So let's look at all the interdictions we have to a free market based on the debt-based fiat currency that we currently have. And the first is taxes. Do you realize that in this year, most, I think, what is it? They say that most people work until like March or somewhere in April. There used to, I don't keep up with the taxes anymore. Okay, if you check out some of my other videos on becoming ungovernable, and we'll talk about a book that I use in filing my taxes informed. It's really good information there. But but I think it used to be somewhere on April, May, June, even something. They said they call it Tax Freedom Day. It was a day that the average American had worked all that year up until that day to pay all of the taxes that they owed. And that's not just income taxes. I mean, income taxes are a large chunk of it, but that's sales taxes, that's usage taxes, that's ad valorem taxes, that's whatever is taken out by a party that had had nothing involved in the transaction. Taking something out of the transaction and putting nothing in, contributing nothing. And that's what taxes are about. And then there's licenses and fees. And licenses and fees are only protective legislation for a certain class. If you take, for instance, the founding of the American Medical Association, and people hold the American Medical Association high esteem, and Allah bow to them, and really it's nothing but a propagandist organization. It started out to basically eliminate all of the competition from herbalists and chiropractics practitioners, homeopathic practitioners, etc., and witch doctors, whatever. Because again, I've talked about this in a couple of videos. And especially my chaos magic class, is that if you've got an issue and somebody does something and it fixes that issue, you don't really care. All you care about is the issue got fixed. And so that was, sure, there were some charlatans, there were some people who took advantage of people, but there are going to be bad actors in every situation, and no amount of government is going to eliminate those bad actors. In fact, the less government you have, the less those bad actors can hide behind things like licensing. I ask this all the time. When I used to have hair, I still have hair. I just choose to shave it because it comes in all the wrong places. But I've asked this often: have you ever received a bad haircut from a licensed haircutter? Well, of course you have. And have you ever gone to some bootleg and gotten like a great haircut? And of course you have. See, the license doesn't guarantee anything. All it does is protect the bad actors and really punish those who don't have the means to get into those fields. And if you notice, a lot of this goes on, and again, is the black market, and we'll talk about this because the pressures on the agora, on the pure and unadulterated agora, when you put those pressures on, it creates the underworld, the black market. And so So licensing and those kinds of fees are, again, they are artificial attachments to the transaction by people and organizations and and governments that have no interest in the transaction other than regulating it, whatever that means, right? And again, let's talk, because government doesn't produce anything. Government approval, licensing. Oh, if it weren't for liquor licensing, bootleggers would make poison liquor and poison everybody. Well, first of all, that's terrible, terrible, terrible business sense, right? I mean, you want to kill your customer base? That's idiocy. And actually, the fact is that back in the day when prohibition was put in place, it was actually the government that was poisoning liquor, not the moonshine makers. Then I remember, I'm old enough to remember the junior deputy sheriff program, where Officer McDuffie would come in and share with you how just say no to drugs. And the reason you say no to drugs because there's guys out there on the street corner waiting to give you drugs. Like Halloween's coming up now. So that's, that whole thing about be careful because there are evil people out there who want to fill your kids' bags full of drugs to get them hooked. And it's like, people ain't giving up their shit. That's crazy. It's the idea they put in your head. And anyway, but so what happens is because of these pressures on the market, and then the final pressure is inflation. And inflation is basically the government fucking with your money. That's what it is. Inflation is basically the government saying, we need more, so we're printing more. Quantitative easing, during the Obama years, the QE 1, 2, 3, incessant quantitative easing was what that was devaluing the dollars that you had in your pocket. And inflation does that same thing. We're seeing it already. I've got friends in the meat business. They're saying in another month or two, the price of beef's going up $2 a pound. Just saw another article tonight about the cost of all meat going up, about shelves being empty. There's a backlash to this thing when your governments, again, government interference, shut everything down, and that whiplash, and we're coming in where it's we're going to hit the whip, and I think my pigs are rustling around. Anyway, we're going to hit that whip, and it's going to be a really harsh reality for a lot of people. And now to top it all off, I mean, those are the things. And again, not shaking my, but a government is taking out from a transaction and transactions that it had no part in, none whatsoever, none whatsoever. So what do we do? How do we combat it? How do we fight it? How do we? Do you have some other idea than just shaking your fist at the clouds and complaining and doing dank memes? And I love memes as much as anyone. It's an interesting fact that memes actually do have a part of this, a big part of the. Prior to the run up to the American Revolution, was the use of editorial cartoons, which were the meme of the day, and it did kind of change people, because there's something about the humor in it. There's something about the irony in it that kind of catches people. So if you're danking memes out there, if you're throwing memes out there, continue to do so. You're actually could be making a difference. It could affect someone. The truth will. Yeah, my brother and I, when we were riding this week, we were talking about the truth being like it's like this black wall. But the wall has cracks in it, and the truth is like light, and it shines through those cracks. And the truth is also like water, and it flows and it finds those cracks. And so, as you find your truth and you begin to express it, it will find its way through. And where it has resistance, and that's where I question my own truths, and I do. I question my truths daily. So anyway, so I don't want to be though just yelling and screaming and being all angry. I want to offer some solutions, and one, of course, is the Freedom Cell Network, and we're seeking to start right here, good old Buckwheat Farms, the Middle Georgia Agora Freedom Cell. I'm going to be here Saturday nights, 9 o'clock, live streaming. If you want to stop by, hit us up. We'll give you the address and let you come by and hang out with us. If things go well, get it where we actually have a camera and a setup, and we can actually, if you want to come and play guitar, whatever. But anyway, that's all, by the way, because the real thing is we want to come and make relationships starting of people that we can count on with everything that's going on. I mean, just right this week in Bibb County, the local big health agency, local hospital, a huge employer just said we're mandating. So in November, I believe they have until November, there are going to be hundreds or maybe even 1,000 or so. I would say maybe they got a couple, 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000 employees maybe in their whole system are going to be faced with this decision on whether to allow an outside entity to make health decisions for them and not be allowed. And there are going to be a lot who are quitting. There are a lot who are leaving the jobs. Again, speaking with Christine, our partner here at Buckwheat Farms, one of our growing partners, she said the biggest fear, or the biggest, I shouldn't say fear, but the biggest concern among her age group is not wanting to hand over, and I'll say this kind of coded, hand over their health decisions to others. But yet, how do we survive? How do we make a living? And that's again, what are the solutions? And one is the beginning of the Freedom Cell Network. Our goal is to connect with 8 other household units, be it family, be it singles, whatever, household units, and each of those 8, in addition to us, would contact and be affiliated with maybe 8 others, and that would be about it. So it would average about 150 people. There's a reason behind it. You can go on the Freedom Cell Network information page and find out about the whole AIDS thing. It's really cool about how they saw that the relationally building on AIDS is kind of important, and putting it around 150 people. They said 150 people is about the most that you can interact with every day and know each other well enough to actually kill each other. It's kind of like when you're riding down the road, and if you see a stranger broken down, you're not as likely to pull over. But if it's your neighbor from across the street, you're whipping in, because even though you may not talk to the guy, but maybe 5 times a year, you still know him. You know who he is, and that kind of relational thing increases actually more so within about 150 people. And it's it does seem clannish and tribish, but it doesn't mean that you can't. Those 150 people can't generate their own groups of people that they affiliate with. So that's the Freedom Cell Network. The second thing that we want to do, the second big big lift that we want to make. And again, if you want to be part, let me go back here and say, if you want to be part of the Middle Georgia Agora Freedom Cell network, you can email me at buckwheatfarmslove@gmail.com. That's BUCKWHEATFARMS loves buckwheat. I'll have to post it in the notes. Buckwheatfarmslove@gmail.com, I believe. Yeah. So anyway, it's been a long day. Been out in the sun all day, chasing pigs. They're still making noise, but get in contact with me. If you're not in the Middle Georgia area, go on the Freedom Cell Network, go on their page and look. They've got a great idea, a great concept. And even if you don't join the Freedom Cell Network, start something around you nearby. Because again, if you've seen any of my videos, you've heard any of my stuff, you know that there's a paradigm shift coming. I've talked about it, we've seen it, and we know it's coming. But anyway, so that's the Freedom Cell Network. And part of that, and underneath that, is the Middle Georgia Agora community support, community exchange system. And again, because of the way the fiat-based system is set up, you have to operate, when you're operating in dollars and cents, you're automatically that are being taxed via the inflation. So there's no way to get out of that part of the taxing. I mean, you can black market the thing to death, but as long as you're still operating in dollars and cents, you're still subject to the inflation. Now, cryptocurrencies are great, and the electronics, but again, I tend to, and this is just me personally, I tend to distrust things with store of value. So that's why I like the community exchange system, because it prevents the hoarding of whatever the unit of exchange is, which and it also is geared more towards a more local group, again, which is, may say it's balkanization, but in this age of electronics and high speed travel, I don't think that's that much of an issue, because we'll be able to visit one another within these, because the Freedom Cell Network is a nationwide network. The CES network is a worldwide network, started in South Africa and Australia and moved outward into the rest of the world, which is kind of ironic, because Australia is right now probably in the midst of the greatest police state action, maybe in the history of man, with what they're doing. So, and you may think that's hyperbole, but that it's just astonishing that the Australians voted themselves into this, and so. Anyway, so the CES is set up so that, and you can go to their website, Community Exchange Systems. Just put that in your Google and pull up their website. But basically what it is whatever unit of exchange here at the Middle Georgia Agora, we have buckwheat bucks. Yes, buckwheat farms, buckwheat bucks. Okay. So anyway, we have buckwheat bucks, and the buckwheat bucks, we give them kind of a nominal, and you have to assign kind of just so people have an idea. We give them a nominal association to the dollar. So that's the starting point. So generally, if someone were to come and pay buckwheat bucks for one of my pigs, the deposit, which is a $90 deposit, it would be 90 buckwheat bucks. Now, no matter what happens with the dollar, though, I can keep that 90 buckwheat bucks at 90 buckwheat bucks, because again, there's no store value. There's each individual exchange. The buckwheat bucks are just a placeholder, so that you don't have all the cumbersome activity of direct barter, where I've got a rooster, you've got a rabbit, we want to exchange, and that. So this is a placeholder. And so we've started a community exchange system here. There are others beside the community exchange system. There are timeshare. There's other groups that use similar things, where they they basically exchange their goods, their services, their activity, their help, um, their arts, their crafts. I mean, because again, this is the thing about this is the big limit to people getting into anything is money and credit. Um, the homeless is the big with them getting off the street is money, because they get just enough to keep them enslaved, and so this gives them an opportunity to actually exchange services. There are a couple of guys around here I know who are working on the down low in some of the convenience stores and getting cash under the table, and they would be able to operate in this system and not have to go the under the table route. They just basically exchange their services for credit in the community exchange system, and then they would be able to expend that credit in the exchange system. And the way it works is it has to balance out on each end every night. And again, I don't want to get too deep into the community exchange system. Look at it online, read up on it. It's very very interesting. It's completely possible because of the internet. The only thing is their record keeping kind of system right now is a little clunky and boomerish, but that's something I could overlook, and it could be kind of cumbersome if you've got quite a large exchange. It could be kind of cumbersome, but that's something that can be dealt with. Oh, sorry, had a bug on my leg. the Anyway, so that's the second solution. The third solution is the CSA, community supported agriculture. Again, we're seeing shortages on the shelf. We're seeing there's a shortage of canned goods. The cost of fresh fruits and vegetables will be going up, and more people are gardening. And I can speak for most gardeners in that, except for this year, but most years, well, even this year with the okra, most gardeners end up doing away with a lot of vegetables. And so community supported agriculture is not for big farms. It's not even for small farms. It's for gardeners. You could put together a group in your community, and again operate it through the community exchange system, so that you're actually able to exchange. Like for us, what I envision here for our community supported agriculture is that we have a work exchange. So say that I want to purchase another boar. I butcher both mine. I want to replace, bring some outside blood in, and so I do a work exchange. I say I will work so many hours, or in that. Now, if we're working in the CES, that takes care of itself. But the reality is we're probably going to ease slowly into this. But the thing is, and this is the thing, here it is. Everybody always says, and I don't want to go on too long with this. I'm probably going to wind it up here shortly. But everybody says, "What are your solutions? What are your solutions?" And why is it that we're stuck thinking inside this little box that the government has created for us? We can't think of any other way. The old argument, and it's so 1990s, and I get so tired of hearing it. My roads, who's going to build my roads if there's no taxes? Well, let me tell you, the government doesn't build the roads now. They pay subcontractors to build the road. They contract it out. There's not a government department of road building. There's not a government department of anything that produces anything. Government produces absolutely nothing except burdens upon the free market and violence, and which are both the same thing, because any burden on the free market, taxation is violence, taxation is theft, licensing and registration fees are theft. They're a violence on the free market. Inflation, the artificial manipulation of money, is violence on the market. It's theft. All those things produced by government. So we got to unplug from the system. All these people who are losing their work, their livelihoods. I mean, there are going to be people who are going to have a hard time making ends meet. And so until the complete collapse of the banking system, which according to, gosh, I can't remember who it was now. I think I just read an article. They're saying this around October 18th, we could have a major collapse. But until that happens, and we're still going to have to operate in the world a little bit, but the grouping together of, again, going back to the Freedom Cell Network, getting together with those 8 household units. Those are 8, and again, ideally it should be kind of a close-knit area to you as well, probably within short drive to long hike distance, something like that. That should be kind of the on the forefront of what you're doing. Getting those people in place, getting your tribe in place, because the thing is you can't do everything, and when you can't get the things that you want, the meat shortages are coming. Well, you find a guy like me you're in a CSA, you're in a community exchange system. You don't have to have a job. You can actually do some handiwork for someone, build something for someone, sing songs, come out here and sing songs. I mean, hell, when we get this thing up and running, we'll sell food for songs. We'll sell food. Come in and entertain us. Come in and tell us how great we are. We may feed you, but in exchange, make exchanges, free exchanges. We don't need government to regulate us. We don't need to be governed, and that's the whole thing. We are an agora. I am an agorist. An agorist is just someone who believes that an open and free exchange with no government interference, no government manipulation, nothing like that. So anyway, this is the first of many Saturday night chats. We'll talk more next week about some more specifics. Again, I'll try not to shout at clouds. It's really hard not to, because there are a lot of clouds out there. So until then, set in your mind. I said the title of this, or I put a preamble kind of on the Facebook announcement that autonomy is just a mind change away. Go and look at my videos on becoming ungovernable. Become ungovernable. And the first one is change your mind. Autonomy is a mind change away. Just change your mind about how we do things. Change your mind about how you expect things to be. Change your mind about what you'll accept and allow. Start standing up for yourself, taking responsibility for yourself. You are worth it. Namaste.